Okay. Hi, this is Ms. Ye. So this is a review for tomorrow's test. For tomorrow's test, so this is the basic math skills. Just learning how to adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, exponential rules, factorings. So all the skill that you need to be included in tomorrow's test. So we're gonna go over, start with one question at a time. So we'll start with first question. The first question start with 20x squared minus 23x plus 6. So if I were to factor, so this is trinomial. For first thing I look at this trinomial, if I want to factor it, I want to look at what is the greatest common factor. So 20 and 23. 23 is a prime, so that we know there's nothing I can factor out. There's no other GCF I can factor out. So this is a basic trinomial, so that means I'm going to use a box. So in this box here, I'm going to say 20x squared, I'm going to say 6 and minus 23x. I'm going to use a 5 and 4 first. I don't use 2 and 10 because that's my options, because that's my first option to try. So 5x times 4x equal to 20x squared. And what times what equal to 6? Well, I'm going to do 3 times 2. But what if I do 2 times 3 like this? I'm going to get 10 and 12. And we know this 2 add up is not 23, so we know that this is probably wrong orientation. So we're going to change to 3, 2 instead of 2, 3. So 3, 2. So therefore, that's going to be 3x times 5 is 15x, and that's 8x, and then 15 plus 8 is equal to 23. But the problem is on this sign. In this case, I want a negative 23, so this two things need to be both negative because we're adding those two terms. So if they're both negative, then that'll be perfect. But if this is negative, that means this is also negative. That means this is also negative. So you're going to pair diagonally, so it's going to be 5x minus 2 times 4x minus 3. So that's the first question, and hopefully you get it right. The second question, I'm going to start with AB minus 6A plus 7B minus 42. So I can factor out A. Because this is a 4 term, and we're looking at GCF, but since every term is kind of different, so there's no GCF in this case. Sometimes you can have a GCF, but in this case there's no GCF. So then you're gonna have a B minus 6, and then we're gonna factor out plus 7, and that's gonna be B minus 6 as well. So now we got this term here, this term here. Kind of think about if this term is like maybe like a z, okay? So that way kind of visualize that. So instead of write down a times this, 7 times this, we're gonna say az plus 7z. If I want to factor this, it's gonna be z times a plus 7. So z in this case is a b minus 6, so I'm gonna have a b minus 6 in the front, and then a plus 7. In your test, you might have it doesn't, sometimes you might have to deal with factor out negative or factor out 1. So I don't know what kind of test question you're going to get, but just take in mind that you have to pay attention to those two. Let me go with the 4. The question 3, sorry, jump the question. The math teacher can count. This is one of the teachers that's like that. 16y squared plus 6yx minus 27x squared. This one's a little bit more difficult because it has a mixed term, y and x. So the box really come in handy. So I always introduce people the box method because it comes handy. In this case, I'm looking at start with GCFs. Any GCF I can factor out. Well, you got 27, that's 3, 3, but this one's not divisible by 3. So 3 doesn't work, 4 doesn't work, and pretty much all the number doesn't work, so I'm going to use a box one here. So 16y squared minus 27x squared plus 6yx. I'm going to do, in this case, I'm going to do try 4y and 4y first and see what happens. But since they're the same number, we're gonna see how they work out. So I'm gonna do 3 times 9. I'm gonna see how's that work. So I visualize it, that's gonna be 12 and 36. 12 and 36, the number is way too big, so I probably don't wanna do any other number between 9 and 3. But I don't have other option. It's 1 and 27, this number gets way too big for 6yx. So therefore, I'm gonna change probably 8 and 2. So this one, I'm gonna change it to 8 and 2, which just happens. But never put a negative sign in the front here though. Always put a negative sign on that side. And let's see if that's gonna go out too well, go out okay. So 8 times 3 is 24y, x, sorry, yx. And this one is 18yx. And you remember, we can add or subtract together. So since this is negative 27, that means one of the sign must be negative. Now we just have to figure out which sign is negative. In this case, that 24yx should be positive in order to get 6yx here. So this one's negative. So it's gonna be 8y minus 9x times by 2y plus 3x. Now, make sure you pair diagonally. So this is a harder question that for you to factor. So this is probably one of the hardest one. Besides, I can probably put some GCF in there so you can factor out GCF. But let's double make sure though. So for me, I double check 8y times 2y is 16y squared. And if you have time, you should double check as well. 3 times the negative 9x, check. 8 times 3, positive. 2 times this, check. And the 6y is this 2 add together gets 6y. So this one's automatic check. If you want to check by foiling or distributing, that's fine, but I think it's necessary. 4. So now if I go to 4, that's going to be 3x squared y to the third plus 6x squared y to the second minus 45x squared y. So if I see this question, I see a lot of messy, I see x and y's. I'm gonna start looking at just the number first. So 3, 6, and 45, they all happen to be factor of 3. Okay, so they factor of 3, I can take out 3. So I'm looking at this. Okay, so maybe this marker here, I can take out a 3, 6, right, and 45. Obviously, they all factor of 3. And let's look at this part, x squared. So I'm going to do 2 lines here, 2 lines here, 2 lines here. So that means each term has x squared, so I can take out x squared. But this one has maybe 3 lines here because it's cubed, and this is square, this is 1. So out of y's, I'm going to take out the least common denominator, which is y, not y to the cube. So it's going to be y. So if you did that, you wouldn't have a bottle because what do you have left? Well, you take out x squared, you take out 1y. So imagine that if you have 3x squared y times y squared, so you take out this, then you really have only y squared. Same thing, this one's going to be level 2. That's going to be x is gone, y left, and then I'm going to factor out x squared y, so it's going to be minus 45, minus 15, sorry. So that's it. So then you say, well, here's a trinomial, we factor out GCF. Trinomial, we should still consider looking at if this is something can factor more. Now here's what I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to build a box inside your head and try to visualize what is the factor of this. So I'm picturing inside of my head, it's going to be like y, and maybe 5 and 3. And the 5 must be positive, 3 is negative. So that's what I end up with. But I can do that. 3x squared y, so that's going to be y plus 5, and then y minus 3. So I picture it inside my head. Later on, you don't need to use a box. The box is something to like a handicap to help you get better. But now you should be able to visualize the things happening. So if I picture that, that's going to be y squared, that's minus 15, that's 2y, that's y, 5, visualize it inside my head. 5y, 3y. This be negative, this would be negative, so y minus 3y plus 5. But don't forget about this part though. This part need to translate to the final answer. So it's 3x squared y times y plus 5 times y minus 3. And that's the final answer. Okay, so let me see the next question. 3x squared y minus 11xy plus 8y. So here, I'm going to take out a GCF. Again, I'm looking at GCF all the time. So I'm going to take out 8y. And that's going to give me 3x squared minus 11x plus 8. Let's see if you can see the screen. Okay. And then, now I can use the box because leading coefficient is greater than 3. I can't really visualize it in my head, which is fine. So I'm going to get 3, 1, x, 3x squared. 8 is going to be, let's do 4 over 2. And that's going to give you 8, negative 11x. Let's see if you get that. See, it turned out to be wrong because 12x minus 2x is not going to give you 11. So that's out of the question. So 4 and 2 is not right. How about 2 and 4? Well, that's going to give you 6, and 4, that's going to give you 10. That's not going to give you 11. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to say, okay, well, let's try a different number. If I do 8 on the top, it's going to give me 24. That's too big, so I'm going to do 1 and 8. So this is going to be 3x and 8x. And this is negative 11x, so this should be negative. And this should be negative as well. So it's going to be here. So it'll be 3x minus 8. Make sure you pair diagonally. And then x minus 1. And then that's going to be y. Don't forget to transfer the answer GCF from top to the bottom. One thing I do want to remind you, sometimes leading coefficient is negative. You want to factor out the negative. So in case I give you some kind of question like this, you know how to factor out negative. Because always build a good habit of doing that. It's very helpful. So let's do the next question. So 3x cubed minus 27x. So if I want to factor out GCF here, I'm going to look at x and x cubed. So what do I have? Well, I should have x because they both have x. Now you're going to have x cubed left. So pretty much you have an x cubed left. Sorry, x squared left. And I factor out 3, that's probably a better choice. If I factor out 3x, that's going to give me x squared. And then that's going to be minus 9. So it'll be 3x times x plus 3 times x minus 3. And that's my final answer. So all the answer I box up. So here, 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 and then here. So tomorrow's test, you have to focus on speed as well, not only in accuracy, speed is also very important. Again, you should pause the video before you try this problem. You should try this problem and check the answers before you check the videos. I'm going to erase that. I'm going to keep on going. Okay. Next question is question 7. 2x cubed minus 50x. Again, I'm going to look at GCF here. So the GCF must be 2 because they're both divisible by 2. And they both have x, so I'm going to factor out x. So I'm going to get x squared minus 25. I'm going to factor more because it's an a squared minus b squared situation. So that's equal to a plus b times a minus b. I didn't write that for the last question. I'm writing it out for you. So then I'm going to have 2x times x plus 5 and x minus 5. They're both not negative. At C student, they change both negative to get negative. That doesn't make sense. It's positive times negative to get negative. Both negative become positive and also middle term, and that's the wrong answer. So this is question 7. 8 was simple question. So a squared plus 10x minus 24. Again, this question leading coefficient is 1, and there's no GCF. So imagine a box. Instead of draw it out, spend 20 seconds to draw a box. Now it really need to visualize, practice visualization. So in this case, I'm kind of visualize like 1 and 1, maybe 6 and 4. But the problem 6 and 4 is not, give me 10x, but the problem this is negative 24, so that's probably not the first option I will do. Not 6 and 4 in this case, so it's probably 12 and 2. In this case, happen to be 12 and 2. So x squared minus 24 and the 10x. And see if you visualize this, right? So I would do 12 and 2 because I know 6 and 4 is not going to give me positive. So 12x and 2x. And I know one of them need to be negative. So I'm going to be, this one's negative. In order to add up to be 10x. So it'll be x minus 2 times x plus 12. Okay. Next questions. Next question I'm going to write here. Uh, 16 AB minus 8A minus 6B plus 3. Again, this is a full term. Check if GCF. There's no GCF, which is you're in luck. So no GCF in full term, just do like this. Factor out AA because there's a GCF here. So that's going to be 2B minus 1. And you factor out A minus 3, then it's going to be 2B minus 1. So your answer should be AA. So we're going to factor this part out, treat it as a Z. So we factor out Z, you should have AA, no, so you'll have AA minus 3. We treat this as a Z, but replace that Z with 2B minus 1. So that's my final answer. 2B minus 1 times AA minus 3. Okay, so 10. Question 10 is very similar, so let's look at question 10. So question 10 is a 5x squared plus 5xy minus 3x minus 3y. Again, it's not a full term. For some people, that full term is their favorite. For sometimes, full term is something they don't know what to do with it. So I'm going to take out 5x. That's going to be x plus y, I think. So I'm going to take out minus 3 times x plus y. And then I'm going to take out x plus y again. That's equal to 5x minus 3. That's number 10. Okay. I'm going to go to question 11. Now, this is one question that a lot of people hopefully not going to miss. They miss a lot on the quiz. So 4 to the negative 2 plus 32 to the negative 2 over 5. Negative exponent, please do the negative exponent rule first. So that's equal to 1 over 4 squared plus 1 over 32 to the 2 over 5. That's equal to 1 over 16. That's plus, well, that means 5th root of 32 and squared. 5th root of 32, that just means what number 5th root is going to be 32. In this case, it's going to be 2 squared. So that's equal to 1 over 16 plus 1 over 4. Now this becomes a fraction problem. You guys need to know how to add fraction. In this case, these common denominator is 16, so that makes this problem pretty easy. So it's 4 over 4. So that's going to be 5 over 16, and that's my final answer here. And I'm going to change the marker. So we're in the question 11. Your speed should be very similar to mine in order to finish the 16 question test, because in the past you probably don't have this many questions, but my class is a little bit more challenging, so you need to be able to accustom that. So now this one is 2x to the 1/2, y to the 4th, 16 to the x to the 3/2, y to the 1/3, and -2/3. Okay, this is probably one of the harder questions in the test, but again, you just follow the simple rules for the quotient rules, simplify inside the parentheses first, and that's gonna take me to the right answers. So I'm gonna simplify inside the parentheses. 2/16, that just means 1 and 8. I'm divided by 1 and 8 to here. X to the 1/2. Now, I get a habit of writing down what I have. Top minus bottom, the exponent, and the base stay on the top. That's what I told you, get a habit of doing that. Y to the 4 minus 1/3. And I'll work out on the side because I want to be cautious of what you're doing. What am I doing? So 1/2 minus -3/2. That's equal to 1/2 plus 3/2. It's 4/2. That's equal to 2. So I know is 1/8 x to the 2. Y, we're going to do 4 minus 1/3. I need a common denominator, so it's going to be 3/3. So it's 12/3 minus 1/3, 11/3. So it's going to be y to the 11/3, and then -2/3. I write down a 1 here, just kind of guide me, because that's a power rule now. We did the quotient rule, the power rule is going to be next. But 1 to any power is 1, so that's a nice thing. So anything to the 1 to the anything is 1. So that's nice. So I'm going to have 8 to the -2/3, because that 1 times this, and this 1 times this, so x to the 2 times -2/3, so it'll be -4/3. And the y is going to be -22/9. Now, if you realize they are negative exponents, if negative exponent, everything switch. So if I switch here, that's going to be 8 to the 2/3. And you're going to say 1 to the 2/3 power is still 1, so it's not changing. 1 to the any power is never changed, so stay the same. And x to the 4/3, and the y to the bottom, so y to the 22/9. And I'm going to finish by 8 to the 3rd roots squared. So it's going to be 2 squared, that's equal to 4. So answer is equal to 4/x to the 4/3, y to the 22/9. And a lot of people say, can I change this to radical form? No, I think this form is perfect. It's perfect to solve a lot of problems in terms of next level course. Okay, next question. Question 13. 2x squared y to the -3 times 3x to the -2 y to the 5 to the -2 power. So if you see this kind of questions, like here, you have to look at the picture as a whole. Look at the pentas rule, look at which one's going to take priority. Do not multiply those two together, because the priority is not straight. This is multiplication. The parenthesis exponent is going to take priority over this. So here I'm going to have 2x to the 2, y to the -3. You realize I didn't do anything on this side because I pay attention more on this side. So again, I'm going to write down 1 power here, so it'll be times 3 to the 1 times -2 is -2. X to the -2 times -2 is 4. Y to the -10. Okay. So that is 2x squared y to the negative 3 times by x to the 4th y to the negative 10. I'm going to change the number only, so it'll be 3 squared. And then 3 squared is equal to 9, so it's actually 2 over 9. I'm going to show you to do it 2 different ways. So 3 to the 2 on the bottom, 9 is here, x2 times x2 plus 4, y to the negative 3 plus negative 13 minus 10. So 2 over 9, x to the 6, y to the negative 13, that's equal to 2 over x to the 6, 9 y to the 13. Okay, and that should be the answer for this one. And can you do it the other way? Yeah, of course I can. So I will look at here, I can say 2 times 3 to the negative 2 times x to the 6, y to the negative 13. And this only one that's moved down, so it'll be 2x to the 6, y to the negative 13. Well, I'm going to move down both. So 2x6, 3 squared y to the 13. So it'll be 2x to the 6, 9 y to the 13. If you realize that both answers are the same, are matching, so it really depends on which way you feel more comfortable. I do it either way, and I get the same answer. Okay, so we're gonna go over the next questions. We're almost done with this review. Actually, I had probably another 12 questions, but that's easy. I'm gonna make it 2 parts because I have next class to go to. The next one is that a is equal to negative 3, b is equal to negative 2. We say a, we're going to evaluate negative b squared plus 6a over negative b to the 3rd minus b squared plus 2a. So usually I make it sure if I copy the question right, because you wouldn't have to bother if you copy a question right. Okay? Because you don't want to waste a lot of time and copy a question wrong and then your answer is wrong. Then you could go back, so it's about investment of times. So b is going to be negative 2 squared plus 6 times a is negative 3. Now I just substitute that as negative b squared plus 6 times a. Good. Negative negative 2 to the 3rd power minus b, which is negative 2 to the 2nd power, plus 2 times negative 3. And that's the stuff I'll write down. Now I have to pay attention to PEMDAS. A PEMDAS says negative 2 squared is going to happen first before I multiply the negative sign. So that's going to be 4, it'll be negative 4. This one's going to be plus subtracting, because negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. All over, this one's going to be negative 8 times negative, so it's 8. 4 minus 4, and then minus 6. So that's equal to minus 22 over 8 minus 4 is 4, 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Negative over negative is positive, and 22 over 2 is 11. The answer is 11. That's a nice answer. Hopefully your test questions like this, but it doesn't have to be. Negative 2a to the square minus 2b over a to the, let me see, a to the square, this is a square, minus b to the square plus 3a. So I went back and looked at it, that was a square it almost looks like a 3, but it's actually a square. So this is a square, so if you want to pause, make sure that's a square, that's fine. 2, a is -3, square, minus 2b is -2. So -2, so I see I missed that negative sign. So do you see that I get a habit to go back to double check? This is also a very important habit. Okay, so 3, -2, -3 squared minus 2 times -2. So I built a good habit to double check. A squared is going to be -3 squared minus b squared, so it'll be -2 squared, plus 3 a, in this case 3a, a is going to be -3. Okay. So now I'm just going to go back and do one at a time. So make sure you don't multiply those two together. A lot of people did on last quiz, they multiply those two together, which is wrong. So parenthesis exponent. So parenthesis exponent is -3 squared. That's going to give me 9. Positive 9 times -2. So it'll be -18. Plus 4. All over. This one's -3 squared as opposed of, okay, so I'm going to do it on the side, -3 squared and -3 squared. I put on the last quiz, a lot of people screw up. I might do it again. So kind of see if people are paying attention to the parentheses. This one's the parenthesis exponent, this one's the exponent first, so it's going to be -9. So this just on the side that on the last quiz that people screwed up. But -3 squared is going to be 9, minus -2 squared is going to be 4, so it's -4, minus 9. So it's equal to minus 14 over minus 4, I think. So that's equal to 14 over 4, which is 7 over 2. Okay, but pay attention to this. Question 16. 3x to the 2, y to the -4, plus 6x to the 4th, y to the -2, plus 9x squared, y to the -6, all over 6x to the 3, y to the -2. I see people just cancel this way. Don't do that. Get a habit of a plus b over c is equal to a over c plus b over c. That's a good habit to have. 3x squared, y to the -4, all over 6x to the 3, y to the -2, plus 6x to the 4, y to the -2, 6x to the 3, y to the -2. Make sure I copy down the question right. So I do that constantly to double check. Plus 9x squared, y to the -6, 6x to the 3, y to the -2. So I'm going to simplify this really quickly. So it's going to be 1 over 2. Top minus on bottom is going to be -1. X is going to be on denominator. -4 subtract -2 is 2. So y squared is on the bottom. Okay, I skip one step because I start running out of time. This is a 1, x, and then this one 1x, because -2 subtract -2 is 0, y to the 0 power is 1, so I don't need to write down this. So plus 3 over 2, and then x2 subtract 3 is going to be -1, so x is going to be on the bottom. Remember, it's going to be x to the -1, y to the -4. And this one is going to be, I'm going to change this part to x to the -1, y to the -2. And now I'm going to do that one step. I do not want to add and simplify together, because this is a good expression to have. I can do a lot of things to each individual term, makes us very flexible when we're doing this. So, good question. 17. -3 to the 1/2. Oops, let's skip 15. That's the question 15, my bad. So I'm gonna go back to skip doing question 15. Now this is just elementary math now. People probably think I'm crazy going through this in high school level course. But this is important for you guys to carry that knowledge over. So -3 1/2, -3 1/4 plus 5 over -2 to the 1/2 plus 2 over 5. I'll convert this to mixed number first. So make sure this is a parenthesis here. So I do not 1 times -3 add 1. I want to do 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. So it'll be 13 over 4 negative plus 5 over 1 over 2 to the 5 negative plus 2 over 5. Now I double check my math. 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 And then I cannot add those two fractions together because this is integer, but technically I want to write in terms of fraction, which is over 1, and then multiply this by 4 over 4. And now I have the same denominator for the top. I need the same thing on the bottom, so I need to multiply by 5 over 5, and then 2 over 2. So that is equal to 4 on the top, and then this is -13 plus 20. Okay, so -13 plus 20, that's a good number. So this is -25 over 10 plus 4. Okay, so I'm gonna double check my math. -25 plus 4. So that's equal to 7 over 4 over 21, -21 over 10. That's equal to 7 over 4 divided by -21 over 10. So that's equal to 7 over 4 times by 21 over 10. No, it did not flip. That was silly. So 10 over -21. No wonder the number looks kind of ugly. So I'm going to simplify this. I don't want to multiply across because I want to simplify before I cancel. So I'm going to say that's 1, and that's -3, and this is a 2, and this is a 5. So I simplify diagonal or top bottom. So in this case, it's 1 times 5 on the top. So it's 5. 2 times -3 is -6. So my answer could be 5 over 6 negative, or 5 over 6 negative in the front. Either one. You can put on the bottom, which is kind of weird, but usually put on the top or in the front. Not both though. Please make sure there's not negative sign on both. We're going to talk about that too. I know the class is almost over, but I'm trying to finish this off, which is trying to do as much as I can and make it a second live stream maybe. By 2 and 1 over 4. Before I do any operation, I convert to mixed number first. So 3 times 8 is 24, 27 over 8. Divided by 4, 2 times 4, 9. 27 over 8 times by 4 over 9. I keep changing, multiply by reciprocal. I need to look at if they can simplify it. Nothing I can do this. Diagonal. 1, 2, 1, 3, so 3 over 2. 18. So we're gonna finish the rest of them from 19, 20, 21, 22. They are pretty much repetitive for scientific notation and foiling, and the rest of you got question. Yeah.
I'm in your class.
Okay, you in my 7 period or you?
No, you're fifth.
Okay, you might want to stay in here for 7.
Really?
Can you ask Patel, see